In 1534, King Henry VIII broke away from the Roman Catholic Church, declaring himself the supreme head of the Church of England. That single act ignited a fierce religious and political ideological struggle that plagued the British Isles for over a century and a half. The country cycled through bloody civil wars, religious persecution, the execution of Charles I, and the strict Puritan dictatorship of Oliver Cromwell. By the time Charles II was restored to the throne, the nation was exhausted and desperate for stability. Yet the underlying tension between the Crown and Parliament and between Protestantism and Catholicism remained an unexploded powder keg waiting for a spark. That spark came with the ascension of James II in 1685. Unlike his brother Charles II, who had cleverly kept his Catholic sympathies under wraps while enjoying a lavish lifestyle of lavish indulgence, James made no secret of his faith. He had converted to Catholicism in the 1660s while living in exile in France, and he returned with a firm belief in the absolute divine right of kings. When James inherited the crown, Parliament initially supported him. The trauma of the English Civil War was still fresh in the public memory, and no one wanted to trigger another round of bloodshed. Parliament also took comfort in a crucial biological detail. James was getting older, and his two surviving legitimate children, Mary and Anne, were both devout Protestants. Mary was married to William of Orange, the Protestant ruler of the Dutch Republic. For English politicians, enduring a few years under a Catholic king was a tolerable price to pay, knowing the throne would soon pass back into Protestant hands. Yet early in James's reign, his power was tested by immediate rebellion. Two uprisings launched almost simultaneously, one in Scotland and another in England, led by the Duke of Monmouth, an illegitimate Protestant son of Charles II. Monmouth claimed the crown for himself, branding his uncle a tyrant. Both rebellions had quietly received tacit support from William of Orange, who allowed the rebels to assemble and sail from Dutch territory. Despite this, James's increasingly professional standing army crushed both threats with ease. Monmouth was executed, and James took the quick victories as proof of his divine favor and absolute authority. Instead of showing restraint, James doubled down. Furious at the Dutch for harboring rebels, he stoked the flames of Anglo-Dutch geopolitical rivalry. Domestically, he began aggressively appointing Catholics to powerful positions in the military, universities, and local government, bypassing existing laws passed by Parliament. He attempted to enforce Catholic doctrine on the Church of England and suspended parliamentary laws he disliked. Parliament watched in growing alarm, but they held off on open revolt, relying on the knowledge that James had no male Catholic heir. In June 1688, that crucial calculation was shattered. James's second wife gave birth to a healthy baby boy, James Francis Edward Stuart. The infant was immediately baptized into the Catholic Church, instantly leapfrogging his elder Protestant half-sisters in the line of succession. The birth raised the terrifying prospect of an unbroken, permanent Catholic dynasty ruling over a Protestant majority. Parliament snapped. A secretive coalition of powerful English nobles and politicians, remembered as the Immortal Seven, took a drastic and treasonous step. They dispatched a secret letter to William of Orange, inviting him to invade England with an army, overthrow his father-in-law, and claim the crown alongside his wife Mary. For William, the invitation was too good to pass up. A Protestant-led England would serve as a powerful ally in his ongoing struggle against the expanding ambitions of Catholic France. On November 5, 1688, William landed on the shores of Devon with a massive Dutch fleet and thousands of troops. What followed was a political collapse of extraordinary proportions. As William marched inland, Key English military leaders, aristocrats, and even James's youngest daughter Anne abandoned the king to join the invader. Deserted by his closest confidants and overcome by panic, James fled London. In a desperate attempt to create administrative chaos, he threw the Great Seal of the realm into the River Thames before escaping to France. Parliament seized on this act, declaring that by throwing away the Great Seal and fleeing the realm, King James had effectively abdicated the throne. In early 1689, Parliament formally offered the crown to William and Mary as joint monarchs, but this crown came with unprecedented strings attached. Before taking power, William and Mary were forced to sign the English Bill of Rights of 1689. This document fundamentally rewired the British Constitution. It placed strict limits on royal authority, outlawed the king's power to suspend laws or levy taxes without parliamentary approval, guaranteed freedom of speech within Parliament, and protected democratic parliamentary elections. Later, the Act of Settlement of 1701 further entrenched these principles, legally barring Catholics from ever inheriting the British throne and setting strict rules for royal succession. The events of 1688 came to be known as the Glorious Revolution. In England, the overthrow was remarkably swift and virtually bloodless compared to the horrific civil wars of previous decades. More importantly, it permanently settled a battle for power that had raged since the signing of Magna Carta, the question of whether absolute authority rested in the monarch or in Parliament. The answer was decisive. From William and Mary onward, monarchs were stripped of autocratic control, gradually surrendering executive power to elected representatives and assuming the role of constitutional figureheads. The invasion and political betrayal of 1688 did not just replace one king with another, it laid the groundwork for modern parliamentary democracy.